What's up, guys? Today we're finally gonna be going over the new hunter exotic this season, the Falcons. And man, this scene is absolutely insane. One of the coolest builds in the game, if not one of just straight up the best, can be made with this exotic. So in this video we'll be breaking down exactly what it does and making that cool build with it, and why this exotic is easy one of the best exotics in the entire game right now, and why you should be using it. So first, starting off with the exotic, looking at what it does, it's gonna be doing a lot for you. First, your weapons gain a bonus to damage briefly after you emerge from being invisible. When you are invisible and defeat a combatant with a finisher, you and nearby allies gain a reserve overshield and improved class ability recharge. These reserve overshields can be deployed using your class ability. So first, looking at the damage part of this exotic, once you become invis and you do something to no longer be invis, so shoot, melee, whatever, you have a damage boost for 6 full seconds. And look at damage on Carl. Without it, we hit for 33.53. Go invis, get the damage boost. Now it's 45.27, which is going to be exactly a 35% buff. And like most buffs in the game, this will not stack with other buffs. So for example, try to pair it with high energy fire, and as you see, have stacks of charge light, go invis, come out, and it's still going to be that 45.27 number. But even though it doesn't stack, this is one of the few buffs in the entire game that's going to be a 35% buff. Well's lower, Bubble's lower, Banner Shield is higher at 40%, but it removes one player from being able to do damage. So it being a 35% buff puts it in an elite category of only a handful of lanes that actually give you a 35% buff in the game. And now if we look at the secondary part of the gain a finisher while invis, this part is really interesting. So first, if you get someone weak, then finish them while invis, the first thing you'll notice is you'll get your class ability back very quickly. So it's like almost a guaranteed way to get your class ability back if you need it. But the second one is, once you use that class ability, you will then have a overshield, which will be able to block a lot of damage for you. So overall, this part of the exotic is kind of clunky to use in my opinion for most lanes. Doing a finisher while invis requires a little bit of a setup, but I do think this could be very useful in harder content, and the fact that it works for not only you but also your allies can make it very good for like GMs and things like that. So as I use this exotic more and more, maybe I'll come around to this part of the exotic itself. And I've heard a lot of people were making a build with this scene with the Rat King, because every time you get a kill and reload, it will make you go invis. So that could be a cool build, and obviously take advantage of all the invisibility. But I think there's gonna be a way better build you can make with this scene. It's a revolve around the duality dungeon exotic, the Heartshadow, which when it came out I wasn't a huge fan of, but the way it works is exactly the same as this new hunter exotic. So first, heavy attacks made with full sword energy turn you invisible and fire exploding void projectiles. Then a secondary perk, shot in the dark, remaining invisible grants his weapon increased damage for a brief duration. Hitting a target with his weapon's projectiles while shot in the dark is active weakens them. So once again, if you go invis and stay invis, when you come out, you have an increase to the sword damage, just like what the exotic armor piece is doing, right? So now we overlap both effects. As you see, the hunter exotic is going to be a 35% buff, as we said, and the sword one is going to be a 25% buff for a total of 68.75. So just right there alone, just going invis and coming out and attacking a boss, we're going to give ourselves a huge increase of damage with the sword. Then after the heavy attack, they will be debuffed by 15%. We can further combo the damage with Font of Might, which will be a 25% buff to our void weapons. When we pick up a void elemental well for 10 seconds, the damage numbers will go up to these, which are obviously very high. And final thing we can do is start off with a void debuff, so our void grenade for 15% or our tether for 30%, to make it so our first heavy attack is also under a debuff. So with that full combo going on, which is very easy to do, the entire damage of the heavy attack will be quite a lot. If it all hits, there should be 5 projectile numbers. Then the light attack will be hitting for 52.5 thousand, and in total the heavy attack was almost 287,000. So for DPS with this combo, most time you'll only need the heavy attack to kill a lot of things in the game. So obviously you'll be doing that 287,000 instantly. But let's say it's a longer boss fight and you have to do a few combos, you can put on Lucent Blade for the second part for the increased recharge rate of the sword energy. And if we do that, the full combo only requires 5 light attacks to get your full charge back. So timing what a full combo would be, you start off with a heavy attack and do 5 light attacks, see how long that takes. So it'll be pretty quick at roughly 3.454 seconds, meaning the DPS if you have a 30% debuff will be almost 160,000. Then at 15% it'll be 135,000. And the thing about the 15% debuff number I just showed off is this is going to be very easy to do for a long boss fight. The only thing that will run out will be your font, which will last for 10 seconds, so easy 2 or even 3 full combos. But as you do the combo and you use your heavy attack, you'll go invis again and reproc the 2 damage boosts along with reapplying the debuff. So truly is an infinite combo that will last forever until the boss dies. And if we look at the rest of the build to take this thing to the next level, first starting off with our subclass, just mousing through a few options, I use Vortex Grenade, Vanishing Step to go invis when you dodge. Then Stylish Executioner will be huge for this build. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. And there's all kinds of really good fragments you could be using with this build, but the 4 I'll be using is first Echo of Undermining for the Void 15% debuff from our grenade, then Echo of Expulsion to make our Void ability final blows cause targets to explode. This is one you could probably change out if you wanted. Then we have Echo of Starvation to proc Devour when we pick up an Orb of Power. Then we have Echo of Instability, which will give our Void weapons volatile rounds when we get kills with our grenade. And you could use Echo of Persistence instead, increase the duration of invisibility and Overshields and Devour. Looking at our weapons, obviously we're using the Heartshadow. I prefer to use the Every Waking Moment because it has Willspring on it, but you could also use the Funnel Web or really any Void Primer you want. And I'll talk about a few different ones for champions in a little bit in the video. Then for your connect slot, you can really use whatever special you want. I find myself not really using this slot that often in this build, mostly just the sword for high health targets, then the primary for ad clear. And looking at our mods, we have Bountiful Wells and 2 Bombers. Then we also have 1 Elemental Ordnance with 2 Innervations to help get our grenade back. Then on our chest piece, we have Font of Might, plus whatever mods you want. Then on our gloves, we have Reaping Wellmaker. Then I usually use 2 Bolstering Detonations. And finally on our helmet, we have either Lucent Blade if you want to get your heavy attack back faster, or just put on another Ordnance, or even an Armaments, really whatever. And it's also important to run Harmonic Siphon on your helmet to make orbs. So overall how this entire build works is you just start off by using your grenade, which will create Void Elemental Wells and give you volatile rounds to your Void weapon. And now with that, every single time you get a kill with volatile rounds or one of your debuff grenades, you'll constantly go invis, so you'll always have the 35% buff from the exotic chest piece, along with 25% from Font of Might, and you'll always have volatile rounds for your primary and your sword. Don't forget that volatile rounds also works for sword hits, so that'll be a little bit extra damage on top of the numbers I already showed off in this video for boss fights. And while you're doing all that, you'll be creating orbs with your primary and pick those up to proc Devour, making it even easier to get your grenade back and full health on every single final blow. So it's gonna be very hard to die. You have constant grenades, constant dodges, and giving your Void weapons a crazy increase to their damage. And if you want to take this thing into activities with champions, it excels there too. You can use the Under Your Skin for Overload Bow this season. You could use something like the Vouchsafe for Anti-Barrier. Then in your connect slot, you can use a Shotgun for Unstoppable, so you can easily get 2 of the 3 champion mods with this build. And of course, it was one of the worst lost sectors to show off builds, but just looking at how it would work, you would just simply stun the champion, go invis, then when you come out of invis, you'll easily one-hit the champion with the sword. With or without a debuff on them, it will easily one-hit them as long as all the projectiles hit. And even if it doesn't one-hit them, they're then debuffed and you just finish off with like a light attack or 2 to kill them. And I decided to load up the Nightfall solo to show off how it kind of work. And as you see, this build just has like insane ad clear with all the crazy damage buffs to your weapon and volatile rounds. Then whenever you get up to a champion, mini boss, or boss, you have the sword for crazy burst damage and sustained damage. It's really one of the highest DPS things in the game with this full combo. So yeah, this build is definitely legit. It's one of the best builds in the game. It's really fun to use. Constant Devour, constant grenades. Since everything's making you invis in the build, you'll constantly refresh the 35% buff along with the 25% buff from Font of Might. Then with your sword, there's an extra 25% when you come out of invis. And then between your grenade, your melee, and your super, you have constant debuffs, and even your sword heavy attacks will debuff targets too. So all kinds of buffs, debuffs at all times. It's honestly easier to name what you don't have in this build than what you do. It really reminds me of the Walking Nuke build for Solar Titan, revolving around the Path of the Burning Steps, where that would also give you a 35% buff to your weapon damage. This is kind of like the same thing, but for Void Hunter, and I absolutely love it. Like usual, I'll go ahead and put the dim link to this loadout in the comments and description. The rest of the video will just be a little bit of the Nightfall gameplay. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.